I mean, to me, there's some obvious buckets of, experience, market knowledge, valuation, all these things. But I mean, if you sort of had to summarize some of those key ones, I mean, how do you think about why someone should hire a banker? And certainly not do it yourself. I think that ought to be self-explanatory to people, frankly.
I like to turn over every stone because I like to see who's going to pay the most. And I'd say that's probably the most important thing for someone to take away. And if somebody doesn't want to get the most, then that's okay. Go ahead and take the first phone call you get. Have a conversation. You probably won't get the most from that one person.
Right.
Because that one person is opportunistic, and we're all going to go try to find a deal. And so I've had many, many transactions that we've taken to market, and they have somebody they're talking to, and that somebody they're talking to for the last year or two never ends up being the buyer.
Yeah, I always found that odd. And I guess it's not odd because people are in companies and they're opportunistic. And what I tell the owners are some of these people buy companies every week and they're very good at it. And they're very good at every trick. And so when they put their arm around their shoulder and they're saying, buddy,
right,
we're good friends. And then there's almost a kinship like, wow, someone's interested in my company. Because how many times have I and we together have ran across, well, when we said, okay, well, let's get some other buyers and let's put this person on the table a little bit. Oh, I don't want to make them mad. Let's don't. And I always say to them, listen, you get to do this once.
right.
If they're going to get upset about asking about terms and pushing a little bit, they're probably not going to be the buyer. And interestingly enough, like you always say, and I've seen it, they're usually not the buyer many times.
That's right. And one of my favorite phone calls is when my client gives me permission to reach out to this one party that's chasing him and tell them that my client now has representation by Kings Point.
It's a silence, isn't it?
Oh, really? Okay. No, nice to meet you.
It's a good thing.
It's really nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Because the game just changed. The game just changed because now they know that this person knows how to play the game.
I always kin it like to my wife is an enrolled agent in IRS representation, and there is a completely different. If you're audited, if you go to the audit by yourself, or you go to the audit with a tax professional,
That's right.
there is 100% difference in what happens from the moment you get there.
And very different outcomes.
Very different outcomes, because I have horror stories of people that go in there and say, they just say the wrong things. And it's not necessarily that they're dumb it's just like go hire the most experienced person for what you're trying to do.
That's right.
That's just good business in any bucket.
And, the devil's in the details on these things, as I've alluded to. And, people want to do it themselves. I can't fault them. One of my friends ended up selling his business. And after the fact, he said, I wish I had, called you to help me on this thing because they took advantage of me on this and on this and on this. And I said, yep, I know what they're doing over here. Here's why. And that's how they did it. Yep, that makes sense. I wish I had called you.